Good evening, everybody in Taipei and around Taiwan. Thank you very much for joining this presentations of Eindhoven University of Technology. My name is Dennis Baas. I'm going to give you a little overview of what it's like to study in the Netherlands. Then I will focus a little bit more on Eindhoven and the Brainport region. So then I'll tell you a little bit why this region is a nice place to study at all. Then I will dive into the Eindhoven University of Technology, and you see here the abbreviation TUE. That's the logo basically of the university. Then I go into the graduate school, so I will show you in what fields we have our master's programs. Tell you something about admissions, finances, all kinds of important things for you to know about our university. Of course, something about student life, and then some services that we have. And then when I finish, then hopefully we have enough time for me to answer some questions. So you can put your questions in the chat, and then later on, Dual will go through them with me, and I will give you the answers. But let's start with a little video about studying in Holland.
Do you want to study in Holland? Of course you want to study in Holland. The next 100 seconds will definitely convince you. All right, let's go. Study in Holland. Every year, many international students undergo the Dutch experience. But what does this mean? What makes studying in Holland so great? Holland is really internationally oriented. I mean, where else would you find students from over 160 different countries? 1 out of 10 students is an international student. Did you know that we have more than 2,100 English talk programs? Pretty good, right? You know what's even better? The quality of our education. You won't find this quality of education at such an affordable rate anywhere else. The open-mindedness of the Dutch people is reflected in the way we educate. It's in the way we teach, the way we interact, in the way we work together. Once you're done studying here, Holland offers a ton of opportunities for entrepreneurs and job seekers. Holland is the home of some of the world's biggest multinationals, such as Philips, Shell, and many more. We even have a special one-year program for you to get employed called Orientation Year. You can be part of the Holland Alumni Network for everyone who had the Dutch experience. How much time do I have left? What? 30 seconds? Well, that's enough time for some fact. Dutch people are the best non-native English speakers in the world. Holland is also one of the happiest and safest countries, and our educational institutions rank among the world's top 2%. But there's more to Holland. Holland is creative, high-tech, diverse, innovative, nicely located, exciting, has a unique cuisine and a rich history. We've got a unique culture and very welcoming people. Just barely made it. So now you know why you should study in Holland.
I think this video gave you a good idea why you should definitely consider studying in Holland at all. What I would like to do is to summarize a few parts of it and add some information about the country. So we are a small country in Western Europe, only 17 million people in total. Also, we are a multicultural society. I think that's good to mention. You'll find here people from all over the world that are, as you saw in the video, more than I think 160 different nationalities here. It's always been like this, to be honest. This is, I think, our country flourishes basically on the fact that we are a multicultural society and that we have people from all over the world studying, working, living in the Netherlands. And that also makes us, in that sense, I would say we are already liberal, but it also makes us much more open-minded in a sense, because we learn from each other, we learn from other cultures. And of course, that's in a way integrated also in our own culture. So you will see a whole mixture. I think for international students, in general, it's nice because they will not feel like, hey, there's a Dutch culture and there's another culture with people from all over the world. It's much more combined. It's much more integrated in that sense. And also you see here independence. Yeah, that is also a little bit more culturally rooted, I would say. The independence part is more like Dutch people are kind of direct. I don't know if you already heard that before, but for example, if you would like to have something or we would like to ask something, we most of the time do it. It's not something that we say, oh, but that person is higher in hierarchy. I cannot just go and talk to him. The Dutch way is that you do it. So hierarchy doesn't mean that much. So you, in that sense, you are independent in a way that you can approach everybody that you want. It's very normal to do that. It's not something that they will say, okay, but you are lower than me. You cannot contact me. That should be somebody else. That's something that doesn't exist here. So that makes us also more independent in a way, because if we need something, if we want something, if we want to make something happen, then we have to act ourselves. So that's also very deeply rooted in our culture. Another thing is a value for money. I think if you compare us to the United States or the UK or Australia, I still think that you get a super good education for the money that you spend. And although prices went up the last couple of years, still I think it's very competitive when you compare it to those other countries. Then I think what's nice, although everybody in the Netherlands, of course, we speak Dutch, but also 95% of the population speaks English as well. So if you know English, then you can basically just have any conversations with anybody on the street, or supermarkets or anywhere else. So it's very easy to integrate that way. It's very easy to have already good conversations with the people there. So that also prevents like two different styles of cultures within a country. The language, the English language here also unites the people that come to our country. Then, of course, about the bicycles. I don't know if you know it, but the Netherlands is known for as a bike country. So especially within cities, the most convenient way to go from A to B is to use the bicycle. And here in Eindhoven, it's not different. We have a lot of bicycle roads. So those are roads especially designed only for bicycles. So it will not be cars and not be other traffic. So it's very safe to use them. And basically within 20 minutes, you can go from A to B almost from every part of the city. So it's what I would say the most convenient way of traveling within a city. If you want to change cities, then of course that is a little bit more difficult with a bike. Then you can use our public transportation, mostly trains. We have a very dense train system here in the Netherlands, so that connects all cities. So also from Eindhoven, it's easy to travel to Utrecht, to Amsterdam, to Groningen even, or to Rotterdam. Any city that you would like to go to has a good connection by train. So that is basically within the cities the best way. And most of the time, train stations are also in the center of the city. So it's convenient to walk or to take a metro from there on. And then, of course, last one of these airports. Airports connects us to the world. There's a big one in Amsterdam, Schiphol Airport, that connects, for example, Taipei to the Netherlands. But here in Eindhoven, we also have a smaller airport, which connects Eindhoven to most of the European cities. And the nice thing about that is that most of the budget airlines use this airport. So if you would like to visit, let's say, Budapest or Madrid or Rome, then you will easily find cheap tickets from Eindhoven to those particular cities. Then last one, at least, I think it's good and important to mention a high quality of education and research. All the universities in the Netherlands, which is very rare if you look at the whole world standard, but all of our universities are ranked. So you can find them in the QS, in Times Higher ranking or the Shanghai ranking. So all the universities rank. So it doesn't matter which university you choose in the Netherlands, you will have a good education. And it makes us also the top 2 universities in the world. So that's a little bit about the Netherlands. Let's dive a little bit more into Eindhoven. That's a city, well, some people know it, some people don't. But in order to get to know it a little bit better, we made a little video here as well.
Unique student meeting. The heart of the Netherlands Brainport region, Eindhoven blends technology, originality, and a very welcoming community,
making it the perfect place for students to find their footing and the perfect place for you.
Check out all the high-tech companies that are located here. Intel,
NXP, VDL, ASML, Philips, and Groep. Thanks to our location, there is an amazing number of opportunities for internships and working during and after your studies.
The possibilities are endless, but Eindhoven is not that large. You can even cross the city center by bike in less than 20 minutes.
The Netherlands' second largest airport and outstanding public transport opened the doors to Europe. But for relaxation, you don't have to go far. Chill at one of the 13 parks and maintain a healthy body and mind through countless of activities.
The growing population, the city of Eindhoven, is vibrant, dynamic, and diverse. This diversity is reflected in the many cultural events, venues, and festivals.
You should definitely visit the Artlight Festival though.
Or party the night away in the longest nightlife street in the Netherlands.
Right, so that's a little bit about the city of Eindhoven. We are in the southern part of the Netherlands. It's good to know. Roughly 243,000 people. I think for people from Taipei, that sounds as a small village. Within the Netherlands, we are the fifth biggest city. So that says, of course, something about our country. We have a lot of cities, roughly between 150,000 and 200,000 people. Only Amsterdam has 800,000 people, and Rotterdam close to 800,000 as well. So we don't have any cities more than 1 million. So that also tells a little bit about the city like. The good thing about a city of 243,000 people is that all the conveniences are there. So you have the bars, you have the restaurants, also the festivals, museums, cinemas, and theaters. But it doesn't feel too busy, and it's still very much reachable from a bicycle. So the nice thing about Eindhoven, I would say, is that you can easily go to all these different things. You don't have to travel far for it, and it makes it very convenient, especially for students, because in the end, we are a student city. So lots of students live in the city center of Eindhoven. And for them, it's nice that a lot of the things that are organized within the city is also aimed at the student population. The last one on these, I already mentioned that Eindhoven Airport, cheap flights go to most of the European cities. So I think there's no student that doesn't make use of Eindhoven Airport in order to have some nice little holidays or a city trip somewhere in Europe. So then we're coming a little bit closer to what makes our region now stand out. So in the Netherlands, you have like 3 economic pillars. One pillar is the airport region, or in Amsterdam. You'll find a lot of companies and banks and law firms, insurance companies, and they're all mostly situated in Amsterdam. And Amsterdam also has a very lively startup community. So that's Amsterdam. Seaport, Rotterdam Seaport is still the biggest harbor in Europe. So lots of goods coming in from all over the world in Rotterdam, and from there on will be shipped through the rest of Europe. So very important economic pillar from the Netherlands. And then we have the Brainport region, and that's where we are. Our university is in Eindhoven. Eindhoven is the center of the Brainport region, and this is the region where all the high-tech companies are. So here you'll find companies like ASML that you probably know since it bonds with TSMC. They make the machines to produce the microchips. But also Philips is one of the companies that is in this area. And I can continue to talk about a lot of these companies. There are roughly 7,000 high-tech companies in this particular area. And that is, of course, super interesting for students because it will help you to easily get a part-time job or an internship, and of course also a career once you finish your degree. And the good things for you is that we have a lack of engineers. There are lots of places these days with lack of engineers, but we have lack of engineers in the Brainport area as well. So the next 10 years, we roughly need 70,000 extra engineers. So that, of course, gives a lot of opportunities for you guys. So if you would like to study here, not only to study here, but also maybe start a career at one of these high-tech companies. That's, of course, up to you, but it's an option that you can take advantage of. So here's a little list of some of these companies I already explained. ASML, machines to produce the microchips. They are market leader in the world. So it's a super big company in this region. And Philips, of course, is also a company that has their heritage here in Eindhoven. Started here with a factory of light bulbs and now are mostly producing medical systems for the healthcare sector. So that is a little bit how it is. But you also find companies like VDL, which is more in the automotive industry, ProDrive, also a little bit automotive, but also chip making. DAF is a big truck company, and so on. So there are, or what I said, roughly 7,000 high-tech companies. So in any engineering direction, you will find a company in this region. So let's go now a little bit more about the university. That's, I think, a nice introduction to our university. Good to know a few points. We are a specialized research university in the fields of engineering, science, and technology. So that doesn't make us a comprehensive university. We only have engineering and science and technology, obviously. But our whole university is dedicated to these fields. That also makes it that we have a lot of labs and all kinds of things here, because the only thing that we have to think about is how can we create the best environment for engineers to do their education. And as you can also maybe imagine, is that since we are very close to all these companies in our area, we also share a lot of labs with them, and we use those labs for educational purposes and also for research purposes. So that's, I think, the benefit of being a very specialized research university in engineering. Besides bachelor programs, we offer master's programs, but also PhD and MD programs. And I think that everybody of you know what a PhD program is, but maybe not what an MD program is. And MD stands for Professional Engineering Doctorate. So it has, you can compare it a little bit with a PhD, but when the PhD, you do much more fundamental research, research that not always has a purpose in the beginning. When it comes to MD program, it has a purpose. It's much more applied. So what you do within the MD program is that you have 1 year of courses, basically, and the second year you're doing a big design internship at one of the accompanying companies in this region. And the good thing about both of them is that they are paid positions. So for a PhD or an MD, you don't pay any tuition fee or anything like that. On the contrary, you get paid for these programs. So a PhD candidate gets roughly about between 2,400 euros and 2,800 euros a month. And an MD candidate also roughly around 2,200 euros. So these are paid positions. So that basically means that if you're doing this, you don't have to worry about much financial stuff. Then, of course, we are an internationally renowned education and research facility. We are top 200 in QS and Times Higher. If you dive a little bit deeper, if you look at the rankings on engineering, science and technology, then we mostly hit top 50. So something that we are proud of, although we also know that rankings can be very much discussed within an institution, but we still think that for students it's the best way to compare universities as well. So that's why we are still joining those rankings. Then you can imagine, since we have 7,000 high-tech companies in this region, that we have very strong ties with them. And those strong ties already started when the university was built, I think almost 75 years ago. In that period, the southern part of the region did not have any university, but we did have companies like Philips and also DAF Trucks here. And those companies needed engineers. So they basically lobbied at the government, because we are all public institutions, saying, hey, you know, we need an engineering university in this area, because our companies need to be able to employ those people. So that lobby was successful. And so basically Philips and DAF Trucks helped us to create a university in this part of the region. And since then, Philips was always very much involved in our university, from a distance, obviously. And the same goes for DAF and all the other companies that came here in the last 70 years to create this high-tech hub. So the strong ties are still there. A lot of our employers, they also work part-time in one of those companies. So that also makes it much more easier for students, of course, to get into the network of the Brainport region. I already mentioned it. Studying at our university can also be a very great boost to your career. We have a low unemployment rate for engineers, basically almost zero for engineers. And that also leads to that 88% finds a job within 6 months after graduating. And yeah, what I said, 70,000 lack of engineers in this region. So good place to start your career as well. Then, although we are a big university when it comes to size, because we have all these labs, we have all these big buildings on campus, we do not have that many students in that sense. We have roughly at the moment 14,000 students, and we have roughly almost 4,500 people of staff. So the student-staff ratio is kind of low in that sense, which makes it possible to have personal contact with these professors and also the other staff that walks around here. Also, of course, with other students, the university is a great meeting point as well, with all the workspaces that we have here. And also, the reason that we are not that many students is also we try to keep the small scale here at the university. And of course, it's important that we want to be able to have or to make sure that every student gets lab access, and that they can use the labs for experiments or for prototypes or something like that. So, of course, if you have a lot of students, then the options you will have for these labs are much more limited. So this is something that we keep in mind when we are attracting new students. So if we have more students, then we also want to make sure that our university scales with that. So more buildings and more staff as well, so that we can keep the quality of our education. Last but not least, we also quite hands-on. So although we are a research university, so you get theories here and you debate the theories at the university, but as an engineer, you also need to make your hands dirty. So there's enough room to practice, as I said, by building prototypes, by building experiments and all these kinds of things, which is necessary to become a very good engineer. So that's all possible on our campus. A little bit in numbers. So I said roughly 14,000 students. If you look at the Dutch and the international students, that is slightly shifting. So when I started at this university, roughly 60% were international. 6 years later, almost 43% of our students is international. So the number of international students is growing. This is something that we really welcome. because we think that 50-50 would be nice to have. That's good for the integration, and also the fact that there are less Dutch students that are choosing an engineering profile. So we have to attract more students internationally in order to make sure that these companies can have their employees as well. Then if you look at male-female, roughly 71% is male and 29% is female. But also here you see a little bit of a shift, because when I started, it was 25% was female and 75% was male. So you already see that we attract a little bit more females, and that's also very welcome, because we think the diversity is not only in nationalities and in cultures, but it's also in male-female. Then a little bit of our staff. So you also see that a lot of our staff is international, and you see here the staff-student ratio, which is for us very important. Then we have 9 departments. Of course, that doesn't mean that much. It's much more, okay, what do they offer? So here you can find a list of the master's programs that we offer in the fields of our university. As you can see, it's physics, it's automotive, it's biomedical, it's architecture, chemical engineering, computer science, also data science, and we do also some data science together with Tilburg University. Then electrical engineering, industrial design, industrial engineering, innovation sciences, mathematics, and mechanical engineering. And in the end of my presentation, basically, I will share a QR code, and if you use a QR code, you will get the brochure, and then you also get all the individual programs that we offer. So this is just a list of the fields that we have. Then also nice to know is that our university is kind of specialized in the whole microchips semicon industry, as you can imagine, with ASML on our corner. So we have a few special programs that have a direction to the semiconducting industry and the microchips, and those are applied physics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and mathematics and computer science. And also for these particular programs, we have a scholarship program. So that's good to know. For the other programs, we don't have a scholarship program. For these programs, we have, and that basically means that you get 7,500 euros per year once you get granted this particular scholarship. And then it's up to you what you do with it, and you can use it for your education, but also you can use it for your living expenses, for example. Then in these fields, there's also very many part-time jobs and internships and job perspectives, because this is basically, these are also the shortest fields in our region. And then last but not least, students also get housing priority, although we have a housing priority in place for all our master's programs. So in this case, it doesn't, if you're doing architecture, then you still have a housing priority as well. But the good thing about this whole project, we call it the Beethoven project, and the Beethoven microchips project, is that there's a lot of things going on this particular field. So we, for example, our university will get a new clean room that they are building now. So that is, of course, for the microchip industry, very important. Those clean rooms are super expensive. I think it costs roughly around 70 million euros. So that will be here in place, and it will also be a place what students can use if they want to do some experiments there. So that's a little bit about the Beethoven microchips programs. And then if you look at the characteristics of our graduate school in total, then you will see that all our programs are 2 years. We offer masters and tracks, but also some specializations within tracks or master's programs. Within these programs, there's always room to do an internship with one of these 7,000 companies, I would say. And you can use your credits for that. So all these master's programs have some free space, free electives that you can also fill in with an internship, and you can even combine it if you want to with your graduation thesis. Then, of course, we also have exchange opportunities. So if you, during your 2 years, you want to do some courses in any of the other universities in the world that we have a connection with, then you can do that as well. So roughly between 15 and 13 European credits. And it's good to know that like most of the courses at Eindhoven are 5 credits, and 5 credits stands, 1 credit stands for 28 hours in total. So then you can calculate roughly how much time you have to spend for one or for 5 courses of 5 European credits. Then we have challenge-based learning, and that also has a connection with the industry, because the industry comes up with some challenges, and then integrated in courses, you will work together with some students, and it can be from one specific field. It can also be from different engineering fields, and you're going to solve that together. And of course, there are many options to solve it. So that's why a couple of groups are working on a solution, not together, but separated, to see what students can do if they can come up with ideas by using all these knowledge and skills from these different backgrounds. Then also within the program, you have electives. So if you're doing a program, let's say in electrical engineering, but you also would like to learn more about robotics, then obviously you can choose some electives within the robotics program as well. Then last but not least, but I already mentioned that you have access to all our labs. I think it's super important for engineers to make use of labs and to experiment and to build stuff there. But that's something that you will get here at this university. Then to sum it up a little bit, a little video of the graduate school.
Well, I also studied at TUE some years ago. If I could choose whether to do my education then or now, I would certainly choose for doing it now.
I think the idea of approaching education in a challenge-based way, so putting students from different backgrounds and different disciplines together, is really what makes the TUE unique.
We as a university also think that multidisciplinarity is also how future will look like, because now the problems are so complicated that you can't solve them all by going into depth within your own department. You have to work together between groups and between departments. And it's good to train this already here, because later on in practice you will need to.
2 years ago, I wanted to solve the climate change problem, but I didn't really have a clue where to start. And now I think I can see the bigger picture. I can see where I can focus on and what my role can be in this. The education at the TUE can help me solving this challenge, because I have the freedom to choose my master and to choose my courses within my master as I like it. The drive really started for me during my time in the student team in Startup Team Eindhoven, when I was building a startup-powered family car with a group of students from different disciplines. And that's when I learned how much you can achieve in a group of people with different backgrounds. I think that the TUE is for everyone, and especially for the ones that don't want to stick to one subject only, but want to really see what drives them and want to pursue their own goals and their own challenges.
There are many job opportunities within the Brainport region for our students. And we help them to bring their dream to a prototype, to a demo, to real life something that works, and even bring it to the world market.
I think I surprised myself, because looking back 7 years ago, I would have never expected to start at applied physics and end up via mechanical engineering at the graduation project in built environment. But I'm really happy that I chose this path, because it made me the engineer that I am now.
It's up to you.
Right. So that sums it up a little bit for most part about the educational. Of course, now maybe you got interested in our university, and then of course it's also good to know what the admission requirements are for our master's programs. So we're looking at basically a couple of things. One, of course, is your diploma. You need to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited academic university in a similar field. So Similar fields, you can see that a little bit as broader, at least engineering, but also if you want to do a master's, for example, in mechanical engineering, then your bachelor's degree should also at least have some mechanical engineering in it. So that's good to know. Besides that, we're also looking at the cumulative GPA of 75%. So it depends a little bit on the system, but you can calculate it easily. If you have a 75%, that basically means that you can enter the university. Then, of course, for some programs, you also need some specific knowledge and skills. We made a list of the things that you need to know in order to be admitted to the specific program. You can do it in our admission wizard. You can find that on www.toe.nl/admissions. If you fill that one in, you say, hey, I'm looking for a master's programs. I'm from Taiwan. And I want to do, let's say, mechanical engineering. Then it will also show what kind of knowledge and skills we are asking. And then so you can basically do a sort of self-study check and saying, okay, but I meet those requirements. Of course, that basically means that you can enter the university. And even if you are missing one of them, that's possible, obviously. That doesn't mean that you cannot be admitted. It means that there's a little deficiency that we, as an admission committee, will try to solve. So then probably you'll get one extra course during your master's program, so you can still be admitted. So that doesn't mean that you cannot enter it, but then you know that at least you can see beforehand what your chances are. Last but not least, we also check your English proficiency. So you need to do a TOEFL or an IELTS or a Cambridge, and you'll see the scores next to that. That's what we ask. If you meet all these requirements, then basically you're in. We have minimum requirements at our university. So if you meet those, we will do you an offer. It's not that we are in that way compared to American institutions or British institutions selective in that sense. If you meet the requirements, you get a place offered at a university. That's how it works. And then we have two deadlines. One deadline is the February 1st deadline. That's a scholarship deadline. So students interested in programs in applied physics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or computer science and engineering or mathematics, they should apply before the 1st of February if they want to automatically be part of the scholarship program. So you don't have to do anything different. That the only thing that we need is that you apply before the 1st of February. Then there's also a final deadline. That's the 1st of May. So if you don't need a scholarship or you are too late for that, then you still can apply until May 1st in order to start the program in September 1st. And how to apply, it's kind of a easy process in that way. Always the first step, you have to register via studylink.nl. This is a registration portal from the Dutch government. That's where you start your application. And then once you indicated that you're interested in the program at TUE, then you will receive an email from us automatically where you can, with a link, you can upload the rest of the documents that are needed in order to process your application. Then next to that, you also have to pay an application fee of €100, and then it takes a maximum of 6 weeks to make the decision from our side. And what you need in order to apply is your transcripts, obviously. Diploma is not necessary because I can also imagine that some of you guys are still working on a diploma, but they do want to start in September. That's possible. Transcripts for us at this stage are the most important part. Your diploma you can always send later to us as well. You do, however, have to have your proof of English proficiency, so you have to send your application with this proof. Next to that, you also need to have a CV, a copy of your passport, and you have to send us a document with some course information of your previous program so that we can really see if your previous education, so your bachelor's or your undergraduate degree, is a good fit for the master's programs that you're interested in. So that's basically how the application procedures works. Then a little bit about finance. Master's programs, tuition fee is €21,000 or €21,700. And for living expenses, you need approximately between 12,000 and 14,000 euros a year. And that includes obviously housing, insurances, food, books, and local transportation. Then some of the services that we provide. We have a housing service. As I said, as master's students, you have priority. In the last couple of years, every student that wants to do a master's program got an offer from the university for housing. So although housing in the Netherlands in general is not easy to get these days, since we prioritized our master's students, all of these master's students that we got accepted, we could give them an offer. So that's good news. Next to that, we also have an immigration service, which basically means that you as a student do not have to apply for a visa yourself. The university will do that on your behalf. And the good thing about that is that the university has an agreement with the immigration services. So as long as you got admitted to the program, the immigration of that, the student visa goes very smooth. And yeah, it will probably take not more than 4 weeks in order to get your entry visa from your consulate or embassy. Then we also offer Juni webinars throughout the whole spring, basically to help you, to make sure that you do everything that's necessary to get enrolled at a university. So the international office is offering those webinars. We have Unibody community groups. So if you beforehand you would like to talk to some other students that have the same interest in a specific program or coming from the same country, then you can use our community app, and that's where you can meet your fellow students, and also you can ask questions to the university as well at the same time. Then we also offer a welcome day and an introduction week for all new students. That's of course a nice way to get to know the university, but also to get to know the city a little bit better, and of course, last but not least, your fellow students. So that's basically the end of the whole introduction after the intro week, and then the program starts. And during your programs, we also have some extra services. So you can, if you have time, you can also take an extra course in Dutch. So if you want to, if you think, hey, my career can be in the Netherlands, maybe I should know some basic words in Dutch, then you have that option. We also have an international student organization called Cosmos that can help you on board, especially in the first 6 months after you arrived. They organize a lot of social events, but also more practical things. So, for example, a day to the IKEA with all of you guys if you need some extra furniture, etc. So that is, they have their whole program, and it's very easy to access them. They have a place on campus, so you can always come and drop by if you have any questions about general questions about studying here or just more practical questions. Then we also offer you support during your studies. So we have the student counselors, student advisors, student coordinators, student deans, student psychologists. So this whole palette of support is available. So if you need that, for example, if you cannot get used to the Dutch education system, or you have some trouble to find study buddies or something like that, you can always ask them for help. And they also have plans for you to say, hey, this is the best way of studying here. This is a way you can find a lot of resources. So yeah, so they are really helpful for all the students that are on our campus. Now, a little bit about student life. Yes, because basically student teams are basically a part of our university as well. Student teams are very much connected to our challenge-based learning environment. This is a way that students work on specific projects like robots, or could be cars, it could be some AI tools, etc. That students from different engineering programs do this together. And most of the times they also do this together with the industry. Sometimes they compete to other universities with the best solution for a particular problem. But the student teams are really nice addition to get more skills, to get a little bit more integrated into the Brainport region because of all these companies. So it's a very nice way to to become future engineers, not only from the programs itself, but also from all these extra things that we offer. Next to that, we also have student associations, so more than hundreds of them. So they can be connected to your program, they can be connected to sports, they can be connected to cultural things, or even nationalities or religions. You can start your student association very easily if you have a new one. But of course, this is more to get social, also to help you to prepare for the labor market, etc. So that's where we have student associations. We also offer an honors academy. This is an extra program on top of your current program. So you do some courses, very state-of-the-art, from different professors from our university. So you do extra courses, but in the end, you also get a certificate for that. And of course, future employers really like the fact that you did something extra, so it opens up more opportunities for good labor market chances. Then last but not least, we also have a student sports center on campus, basically meaning that you'll have access to more than 80 different sports. Costs roughly about €100 a year, so it doesn't cost much. Yeah, and it's on campus, so between classes, you can easily go there. There's a swimming pool, there are tennis courts, there's a basketball fields, soccer fields, and also, of course, a very nice gym. So that, of course, helps you not to have a healthy mind, but also to keep a healthy body. So this was my last slide. 2 minutes too late, actually, but this is the QR code where you can download our brochure. So then you have all the information that I mentioned during this presentation, but also you can learn more about the programs and about more in-depth information. If there are any questions, you can always send us an email at info@toe.nl. We also use our current students, so there are roughly more than 100 students that you can chat with if you want to. So we have a special unibody chat functionality. So if you want to learn more about a specific program, or you say, hey, I see that you're also from Taiwan. What do you think are the differences between the Taiwanese education system and the Dutch system? Those are, of course, questions that they can answer. So make use of that. It's a very easy way to get to learn more about a university, but not from a university perspective, but from a student perspective. And then last but not least, you can find a lot of information, of course, on our website. So this is the direct link to our to a graduate school. And here you can find also a lot of information that I just mentioned. This was my presentation, so I now stop sharing. And then I will give the room back to Dual, maybe to answer the questions from the students.
Dennis, you don't need to stop sharing.
All right, I will keep it here.
Yes, because I guess, some people, they need to find a smartphone to get a QR code. So just leave it as easy. And previously we discussed about, especially the semiconductor industry in the Netherlands. Is that possible also for you to briefly talk about, let's say, maybe, some recent developments, or, let's say, the story of the semiconductor industry in the Netherlands?
Right. I can tell a little bit about the story because this is a long story. So I will try to keep it brief. But I already mentioned, I think, during our presentation that Philips was one of the first companies in this area. And it's a big company. And they started basically already by making little machines to produce microchips. That part became bigger and bigger, especially when it comes to the kind of techniques that they are using now. So they started an extra company, and that's now ASML. So ASML is now the company that makes the machines to produce the microchips. It used to be part of Philips. Now it's an independent company. And I think that the fact that ASML was basically an experiment. At that time, they were not know that they would succeed in making a machine to make these very high-tech chips these days. So you can also say it's a little bit of luck that we had. And of course, there are great engineers in this region that worked hard on it. but you always need a little bit of luck at the same time, the good investments at the same time. So, but as you can imagine, if you have like a company like ASML that's very successful in this particular region, and you in Taiwan should know it because you are using a lot of these machines. They are shipped to Taiwan, and TSMC uses them constantly in order to provide the whole world with all these chips. That not only that, we also have a lot of companies that are connected to ASML in the region. So of course, if you have a big player in the semiconducting industry, that attracts other players in that same industry because they know the knowledge is there, the people are there. How can we make a profit of that? Of how can we help them? How can we to help them to create the best chips? So ASML is working currently, I think, with almost 1,200 different companies for parts of these machines. So it's basically they put the machines together in Eindhoven at the ASML factories, but a lot of the parts come from all over the world, and a lot of them from our region as well. So this is how it started up with our semiconductor industry. It was basically coincidence that they find something that really worked, but of course that was built into this whole semiconducting industry in this particular region. And now the government is very much, of course, willing to help the semiconducting industry to stay in the Netherlands. So you have to see it like this. We in the Netherlands, as I said before, we have a lack of engineers. And of course, that's dangerous for a company like ASML that needs a lot of engineers. If they cannot find them here in the Netherlands, then they will have to put some other factories abroad in order to get those engineers. And that's a pity because for our Dutch country, obviously, but also not only that, the whole environment between Eindhoven is also super good for engineers. Everybody speaks English. The whole mobility around Eindhoven is built basically for all these expats and people and students that come here to study. So it's for the government that said, okay, we are going to put some extra effort in it. So universities like us can try to find these extra engineers from all over the world that are willing to work in the semiconducting industry to keep us like a key player in this particular field. So that's a small, long story short, I would say.
Wow, but that's a very interesting story. And Bas, before we get any questions from the participants, I would also like to ask a very interesting question because in one of your videos, in the presentation, especially the last one, I saw, that say professors who are female, and the master student is a man. So I'm just wondering, in your university, are there many let's say some professors who are female and doing very important research?
Yes. I can tell you that our rector magnificus is female. So she's the highest person at our university. She is female. When it comes to we have 9 departments. 5 of these departments have female heads. So for us, it's important. We in the past we even had like a special communication on that. That we said, if you are female and you are doing something in tech and you want to get a job at our university, we will even prioritize you in order. So for us, we think that the best engineers and the best engineering groups, because engineering is not a field that you do on your own. You always work together. And we think that the more diverse the group is, so not only when it comes to nationalities or people with different backgrounds, but also male, female, in the end, it makes the engineering better. And this is a philosophy that is very strong in the Netherlands. Some people call it woke a little bit. You say, oh, that is typical from this era, and males and females are different. And yes, but we embrace that difference. So the difference, the fact that they are different makes it that they come with a different point of view. And a different point of view is very helping to evolve the engineering innovation. So for us, we would like to have more females and more women at our university, and they are there also as I would say somebody to look up at, to have an example at the university. And the fact that we have so many women also on high levels and in research, but also in the boards, I think that will help us not only saying that we want to have more females, but also showing that having so many females at our university really helps us to get the innovations that we want.
Wow.
So super important for us.
Yes, first of all, that's very impressive. And also I think, I think your university is leading the way, because what I have heard from you, I think, especially female are doing very well in your university.
In general, yes, they do super well. I was surprised, I think, when I started working here 6 years ago, and I created an ambassador group of students to help me with some marketing things. But then I think the first female that I met there was a girl from, I think, India, and she's doing the automotive program. And then, of course, I made the mistake already in the beginning, as direct and Dutch I am. I said, "Wow, that's you must be the only female in that program then." Because here in the Netherlands, females do not do automotive. They do other stuff, mostly in the healthcare sector. But automotive is very strange. And then she looked at me and saying, "Okay, but no, there are much more females in my group. And it should be even more, because I think that we can really add something to this program, because we have a different way of approaching things, but also a different way of making solutions, and that can be really helpful in a place that's dominated by men. We really bring something to the table, and yeah, and since then I got many females in my ambassador team now, and I really have to be careful not to put them on a pistol on a spot there, because for them it's super normal to work with guys and to do something engineering one. For them it's also a challenge to do a study like this, just for the males as well. Yes, so yes, that's correct. So what you can say is that only for these 4 fields, so programs in the fields of applied physics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science and mathematics, only for those programs, for students interested in those programs, we have the scholarship in place, which automatically also means that we don't have scholarships for the other programs that we offer. So for them, the May 1st deadline is the most important, because they don't have a February 1st deadline. So only students that can apply for a scholarship, they have the 1st of February deadline. For the others, they can apply until the 1st of May.
Okay, I think one last question from...
Sure.
Yeah, one last question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a website also on the summer school, so you can, if you type in on the TUE website summer school semicon, you will probably find it as well. I'm not 100% sure if there's how it works with the application, but it should be stated there how to apply, if it goes directly via your own university, or you can just make the application there. That, to be honest, I don't know that. I should have checked that before this presentation, but I do not know the answer. If you want me to check this, then I will, and then I can add that information to Dual when he sends you an email also with the presentation. Then I make sure that I have that information as well.
Okay, thank you. And one more final question. This student would like to know, do you think there might be too many people competing for jobs in your city? Like it's too, difficult to find jobs?
It is not. As I said, we have a lack of engineers in the next 10 years for 70,000 people. As long as you are not coming from Taiwan with 70,000 people, it should be okay. So it's no, we really have a lack of engineers. So and that's not something to sell my university in that way, but we really need more engineers. So the unemployment rate is 0% in engineers. So we as a university will help you to get those jobs by making use of our networks that we are having in this region, by also providing you career options in order to how to apply as an international here in the Netherlands, because it's always a little bit different. It's really not. I don't think that anybody that wants to stay here for a job didn't stay. So it's much more. Some students have other options and also would like to explore those options and then leave Eindhoven, which is totally fine. But if you want to stay here and get a job here, then the opportunities are there. You don't have to worry about being unemployed.
Okay, we have a question from a parent. She
Right.
would like to know if, she said that her son is currently in 10th grade of International French School in Italy. He has made up his mind to apply for your applied physics. And
Nice.
she would like to know, to know if your requirements for the math and the chemistry level.
For applied physics, and she's doing an international school, so we ask for mathematics A&A high level. So that's the mathematics requirement. And for applied physics, we also have a physics requirement, and that basically means physics high level. Chemistry on high level is not necessary, not even necessary to have even. So if they don't have chemistry or they have chemistry on standard level, that's fine. The most important two parts are mathematics A&A high level and the physics high level. That are necessary in order to apply for applied physics.
Okay, so I guess this is the last question. So Dennis, I would like to thank you very much, for being so flexible to offer this, your presentation through this webinar to all the participants in Taiwan. And we hope to welcome you in person next time.
I know, I would love to be there at this moment, really. Yeah, so I will make sure that the next time, the next opportunity is in autumn, and then hopefully I can put it in my schedule that I will be the one going to Taiwan. I will do everything I can to make that happen. So yeah, so you will see me in Taiwan anyway at one point. But maybe you see you earlier already in Eindhoven as a student. So that's up to you. But yeah, thank you very much for having me here, and also thank for your flexibility, Dual, to immediately change the presentation into an online webinar. That was really nice for you to do, and I really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you for joining this webinar to all the interested people, and hopefully see you very soon.